Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishnan, and here basically we are talking about the Congress achievement. And in this, basically, BJP, Samajwadi Party, and Basapa, and NCP. NCP actually today was calculated that NCP is also connected with Congress Party. So, like this, basically, these all parties are basically connected with Congress Party, and they all are basically sitting in Parliament House. They all are basically sitting in Parliament House, and they are basically handling the whole entire country basically. For example, if particular person is not getting job, then this group are responsible. The people who are sitting at Parliament House, they group basically handles each and everything basically. So like this, basically today we are going to talk about the earthquakes. How basically earthquakes are basically connected with particular land basically. I will take few examples. For example, one person told that is it possible that um, if any set of planets basically is attracting particular land. For example, assume that Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh, these three are basically north side. So they have some specific basically land basically, special land basically. They have got the special land basically. So due to this land, basically, is it possible that earthquake can attract? Sorry, the land, the set of planets basically can attract. Then basically that person told that yes, basically it is possible because the just today only basically night basically. Today night means I think around at uh, around yesterday night basically 11:52 p.m. basically earthquake basically came. So yeah, so basically nobody was able to track that earthquake basically. Then basically one of the person told that this earthquake was reason of that particular set of planets basically which was attracted, and due to that attraction basically the earthquake basically was came. Then basically that person told that the power supply basically comes to the earth planet, sorry, to the city. Due to that basically earthquake happens, right? Then he told that the basically that is also there basically. So this all are basically, this is also one of the type of earthquake basically. There are 2 lakh types of earthquake basically in this world basically which is created. And yesterday basically where the earthquake basically which came in India basically, that is in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh was basically not able to capture that attraction. So Madhya Pradesh was not able to capture that attraction basically. So Madhya Pradesh, sorry, the Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, this all basically land was got the earthquake basically, and the basically the land basically which major got the earthquake, that was Nepal. That was basically the Nepal, nearby country of the India. So here the question was, the India land was attracted or the Nepal land was attracted? The India land was attracted or the Nepal land was attracted? Then one of the person told that, yeah, few time before basically you told that the each and every energy basically which is settled in the environment, due to that basically the earthquake happens. That is 100% correct. But that energy which was sent by the ONGC, IPCL, and Ames Oxygen Company, that basically was attracting the planets basically. So here now the question is, this all basically the company basically energy company like Reliance, IPCL, ONGC, Ames Oxygen, these all are basically attracting the planets. Just come towards the Earth planet, come towards the Earth planet, and hit Earth planet. That type of energy basically they are creating. Because yesterday earthquake basically which was came, that was that only. But here the question is, that was basically from ONGC or basically the Reliance or the IPCL or the Ames Oxygen. They have sent the basically which group basically has sent the data basically. So for that basically the Prime Minister basically of India basically, he is going to track each and every earthquake basically which energy group basically was attracted. sorry, which energy group actually attracted the set of planets basically, and due to this attraction basically, the set of earthquake basically has happened. So that basically the first basically the state chief minister basically is going to diagnose the thing basically, that why basically the earthquake came, which basically energy was this basically. It's not possible for India basically to attract to track this. Why? It's impossible basically. If the India, then India will say that we have set of companies basically across the world basically, we will send the data to them. Then basically they say that ONGC Reliance basically will give money to them, and they will say that create some fake report. Like this only basically they happens. Whatever things basically happens in India, that same way, that is the basically the way basically they will give the money, and they will say that basically give some fake report basically due to some this that some wrong creation basically was happened in the state basically. Due to that basically in the Nepal basically, you just say Nepal, basically it's not connected with the India country basically, then basically Nepal will, basically Nepal basically all people are basically not literate, but few people are very literate basically nowadays basically. Few people has went to the America, and up to that level basically literacy has already came, so you can't basically make fool to the Nepal also. So if you will blame that Nepal basically creation has happened like this, due to that basically the earthquake basically was came. So then basically Nepal will give you something basically, because nowadays Nepal groups are very literate basically, but they are connected with India land. So basically they will not do anything, because if anybody will say that Nepal this that, then basically they are not going to anything. But because they most of people are basically in Nepalese basically are in India also, then they will create problem to this big businessman basically will create unnecessary problem to Nepalese. That's why basically Nepal people will not do anything. They will say that's okay, okay, okay. They will say that we will live peacefully, peacefully. You do whatever you want to do to our land. You finish our land also. That also they will take one day. Like this, India will basically will give all the fake report and say that this Nepal land was the responsible. That's all. So slowly basically everything happens basically like this basically, each and everything basically happens slowly. So like this basically, just see basically the things basically yesterday, if anybody will track that the earthquake basically which was came actually, that basically was from where basically, due to what reason basically it has came basically. For that basically few people say that France basically is having French basic France basically is having lots of website basically, they literally give the reports only in the PDF format basically, why the actually earthquake has basically came. They basically never give the wrong report, but if you give the money basically, then then when basically this small issue basically when it will reach to the international court, that time basically you can't do anything, right? Because it might possibly that yesterday earthquake basically which was came, that 100% is going to reach to the international court basically, right? Because each and every earthquake which comes, that basically 100% reach to the international court. That is not UN basically, United Nation. That is not UN basically, that is a different court basically. They basically decides basically what to do and how they basically track that, how basically from where basically the earthquake actually came. For example, one single person basically has done the earthquake basically, due to that the earthquake has came basically, then basically they will treat some good for that particular person also, like they will give head chakkar, they will damage his eye, they will damage his teeth, they will damage his stomach basically. Like this basically they will give the punishment, and this basically India will also support them. Why? Because lots of Indian people are 22 crore Indian peoples are there in the outside, that's why. So just see basically how the international courts also basically behaves, and up to what level the basically international courts tracks. And international courts say that basically nobody can track us. We are basically working from home. All people are working from home. So nobody can track international court. So like this basically things are there. So you can just imagine basically yesterday earthquake basically which was came actually, that was basically the France basically say that France report basically, if you see the France report PDF report basically, they will say that basically this was the land basically, due to that basically things was attracted and the planet basically was attracted and universe group basically directly fired the India land. And as they fired means earthquake happened, and at the same moment basically earthquake happened, that attraction basically was removed. So just see basically how dangerous it is. It's not dangerous, it's very dangerous. So assume that Uttar Pradesh and Delhi basically, Delhi also basically got earthquake. So assume that Delhi basically was having some energy, and in India basically mostly ONGC, IPCL, Reliance, Ames Oxygen, IOC, this all group basically gives the energies basically. Due to that, this all energies only basically the each and every buildings are standing, each and every trees are standing, each and every people are basically having good breathe, having get good oxygen basically. So which energy basically was has attracted that planet basically, that has to find out, that has to find out basically which was that energy basically which actually attracted the planets. And just see basically the things basically are working basically, the attraction happened of that planet, and immediately the universe satellites basically fired that land, that was Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, and basically I think Haryana was also there. So in this area basically which was that energy basically which actually attracted that set of planets basically, due to that basically the earthquake basically came, and immediately the earthquake came basically the attraction was finished, that planet basically changed its direction basically. But how basically this can be diagnosed means how this can be tracked, this only satellite groups can track basically, right? And for that basically lots of people has basically died also in front of the world, they only basically can track. It might possible they also might have fired, because they have died in front of the world, so nobody can track them also. So they might have seen the attraction, due to that basically the land basically this attraction has happened, that report basically the satellite basically group might have tracked that, and immediately they fired that land, the satellite group basically, and then basically the attraction has removed. So this is also one of the type of earthquake. There are more than 2 lakh types of earthquake basically. So now basically whenever the earthquake basically comes basically, then it's very important basically to track for which, for that basically you have to connect with the satellite group basically. But satellite groups are also basically connected with the big rich businessmen basically, they only give the money to the satellite groups. So how it's possible to track basically, to get the perfect report basically, to get the perfect report basically, how it's possible? Because rich people basically this all this Reliance, IPCL, ONGC, these all are basically rich businessman group, right? So nobody can track this group basically. Even basically the political people basically takes money from these all groups basically. Then basically how it's possible to track these all people basically? But it might possible one day, due to this all group basically, the big planets group basically will attract the earth planet, and entire earth planet will end due to this businessman. One day basically this might happen basically, and due to money basically the world will end, because they are giving money. and this basically will harm the satellite group also. This will harm the satellite group also, because that planets group basically going to cover the satellite also. But this basically might happen basically in future basically, because attraction has happened, that means something wrong has happened in due to that energy group basically. But it's a India basically, but due to India basically whole world can't suffer. Due to India land basically whole world can't suffer, right? Or it might possible the whole world is friend of Indian, that is also possible. Whole world basically might be friends of Indian, so they might be telling that, oh, it's a Indian friend basically. Reliance is India's friend, Reliance is our friend, IPCL is our friend, ONGC is our friend. So ignore that basically. But one day that ignore only basically going to finish the entire world. And in this basically the Indian government will be responsible. In this basically the Indian government will be responsible for the entire world end. So this is basically one of the part of Congress achievement. And in next part basically we are going to see a little bit more about the Congress achievement.